Good morning.
How's it going?
That's right. This is Matt, Lindsay, and Jerry Fetta here with the Never Settle Code every Saturday. Now, it's been a little bit.
Couple weeks. I'll admit that.
Couple weeks. We've been gone. Haven't been as consistent as we wanted to, but big things are happening, and we've been putting our attention on other things.
So what we want to talk about today, though, is how do you overcome barriers in life? Okay?
How do you make it happen?
And the reason we hit this video is because, like, right around now, winter time, it seems like everything's a little harder to do. Energy is more scarce. All that stuff can happen.
That's
and
why we
those
got the coffee.
Oh yeah, coffee fixes all that, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But those seem like barriers. They can appear like barriers, and if you don't know how to handle barriers, sometimes it's easy for people just to give into it.
Yeah.
Right?
So what are some barriers that people might be interacting with, engaging with, things that are happening?
Yeah. So barriers right now could be cold weather.
Cold weather.
Could be the holidays.
Yep.
Could be family.
Oh yeah.
Could be maybe you're feeling sick, under the weather.
Yep.
All sorts of stuff. Those are all barriers, right? Now, I would go as far to say that a goal without a barrier is not worth achieving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So when you're looking at barriers, like, I think in life, one of the reasons people get like overwhelmed is because they don't expect the barriers.
I think there's a couple different ways you can go with that, but I do 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
And I love that you say that, a goal without barriers may not be a goal that you want to chase after or go after. When I talk about that in real estate, take that for example, zero down, little down. It's very easy, a loan product's very easy to get into for some type of what people may think is an investment or some type of real estate. Those typically aren't properties or deals that it's going to be able to create for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's true. Very true.
So that is an example right off the bat of a goal getting into a real estate investment that has a very small barrier. Because of that small barrier, doesn't produce what you want, doesn't have the outcomes that you're expecting.
Or the incomes.
Or the incomes, that's right.
And I want to add this to what Matt said. When something has very low barriers on the front end,
mm-hmm.
my experience in life is it has very high barriers on the back end.
Yes.
Something that's easy to get into is often difficult to get out of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So when you're talking barriers, like let's go ahead and throw some scenarios out. Maybe you have a business right now, sales are slow. Maybe you're going through family stuff because it's the holidays and it's that time of year. Maybe you've got just the weather, you're struggling with it, it's hard to stay motivated. Those are all barriers that actually should be there.
Yeah.
Like they're going to.
Yeah.
Okay? So you shouldn't be shocked when they happen. So the best way to overcome barriers for me is I'm gonna actually over predict the barriers. I'm gonna expect more to happen than probably actually will.
Okay.
And then when it comes up, I'm just like, oh yeah, I knew that would happen. I was prepared. I'm going to go ahead and handle it. And it's not like this shock. Think about when people get startled.
Yeah.
You've got buddies, like we all know people, you can sneak up on them and they always and they jump.
Yeah.
That's because they weren't expecting that.
Now, what this also can go into is, problems.
Mm-hmm.
Problems. So we always talk about problems. We've talked about problems in the past, and we've talked about, small problems versus big problems. What kind do you want, Jerry?
I want big problems.
Big, scary.
Huge,
big, scary.
Like nasty, ugly,
That's
disgusting problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are we going to be able to handle those? We handle those because we've been able to work through the ones up underneath of it. And so what I mean by that is when we come across these barriers, identify that they are a barrier, try to predict that they are coming, like you're saying, Jerry.
Yeah.
And just handle them. Identify, handle, and move on.
And you don't always have to know how you're going to handle them. You just have to start doing something.
Yeah.
Okay, like one of the things that I was realizing a couple weeks ago, especially as we're coming towards like New Year's and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people set their goals because they're in danger. They set their goals because there's like a barrier, and they're like, I need to handle this thing. They're not setting the goals because they're trying to achieve. They're setting the goals because they can feel something impinging on them in life, and they're like, I need to get out of the situation. It's a barrier. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's reactive though.
That is 100% true, and especially I like that you bring that up now with New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
What he's saying here is that you're in personal danger, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're getting at?
Yeah.
And so people create these goals or resolutions for themselves based off of where they're at now because they are in danger.
Mm-hmm.
I'm overweight. I don't have enough income. I want to reach out and do this goal, whatever it is, but I've never been able to do it because I haven't taken action.
Mm-hmm. And if you were to follow the right steps, then you would actually achieve the resolution. The reason people don't achieve those is because they don't follow the right steps.
Mm-hmm.
All they say is a statement of intention. I want to lose weight. I want to make more money. They don't actually say, well, right now I've got only $5,000 in the bank and I've got $10,000 in bills. I need to handle that and fix it. Like, that's the first barrier to predict.
Yep.
Instead, they just say, I want to lose weight or I want to get better financially. And then they don't go and actually figure out, what did I do to get fat? What did I do to get broke?
And handle that, because that in itself is a barrier.
Yeah. And then change the whole deal so that you're not continually doing the same stuff. Like, you actually have to look at, how do I handle a barrier? No, the other element to this, Matt, is a lot of times when people solve problems, they're not solving it from a situation where they're trying to create. They're actually trying to stagnate. And It's almost like, oh man, if I get over this hill, then I can take a rest.
It's the retirement mentality.
Yeah, it's why the hare lost the race to the tortoise. He took a nap in the middle of a freaking race.
Yep.
So when you have barriers, like, you have to be like, man, I'm going to have this barrier. I'm going to solve it so I can jump to this one. Not, I'm going to solve it so that I can take an eternal nap and not have to deal with problems anymore.
And that's why we're talking about barriers and problems, and why we brought those two together is because if you handle the small problems, you're going to be able to overcome the small problems. But that's why you want the big problems. You're going to graduate. You're going to go up. It's a gradient. You're not just going to handle a problem in life and then be like, I'm good for the rest of my life. I'm not going to have any other problems. No. By handling the smaller problems, you're going to get to bigger problems, and that's the game that you play in life.
And it has to be a game. So guys, a couple of things. Predict that there will be barriers.
Yeah.
Just expect it. You should expect that you're going to get punched in the face by life all the time. It's going to happen. Never going to be according to plan. Okay? Yeah. And then realize it's a game. Like Matt said, you're not going to die.
Yeah.
You're fine, dude. Just go play the game. Go win. And then jump to the next one.
And I think that people can go to the extreme on this. And what I mean by that is, they can dwell in the, I'm getting punched in the face. I'm getting punched in the face. And dwell on the, life has to be hard. Life has to be terrible.
Yeah.
It's the hard work. It's all this kind of stuff. And it's more of a negative outlook. I think that a lot of people tell us, to dwell in that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's correct.
I don't think it's correct. And then as you're going through it, like, the other tip I want to give you, don't look at the worst case scenario. Like, why would you think about think about first, if you're imagining this worst case scenario, it's not real. It hasn't happened. Mm-hmm. So why would you daydream about bad stuff happening?
Yeah.
Like, there's no factual proof that will happen. You could win and be victorious, but if you're thinking about, what happens if I don't pay my bills? What happens if I don't lose the weight? What happens if I don't hire the people? Like, then you're going to always have the problem, because that's where your intention is.
Yep.
You're going to make it happen.
So focus on that positive. Focus on the solving that barrier. What is that going to do for you? Once you do that, look into, hey, what's that next step? What's that next gradient of your life, your business, your relationships, whatever it is?
Yep. So that's probably point number 2. Point number 3, I would say, is take responsibility for having the barrier in the first place.
Yeah.
What did I do to cause the barrier? If I'm having financial issues, even if it happens to me, what did I do to cause that?
Yep.
If I'm having family issues, if I'm sick, if I'm whatever, what did I do to cause that in my environment? And if you do that, you can be the solution. If you don't, can you solve it?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
Someone else gets to, and they're not gonna.
That's right. And it's just gonna cause more cycles of that barrier. Like, you're gonna be in this perpetuating, never-ending cycle.
Yeah, and it'll always just keep happening, and that's where Matt said you start thinking, life's gotta be hard. This isn't
Mm-hmm.
difficult. You actually start creating difficulties, because that's your game.
Yep. That's it.
Okay, so guys, if you've got barriers, that's how we want you to handle them. And then lastly, realize there should be barriers. The bigger the barriers are, the reason Matt asked me, do you like big problems or little problems? Is if you have big problems, you're gonna have big payoffs.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only reason you would have, like, why would you have a problem and not have a payoff?
Yeah.
So control that. Like, try and get a bigger problem. Do you want the problem of, can I pay rent this month? Or do you want the problem of, how do I handle this $100,000 tax issue because I made too much money this year?
Exactly.
I want the tax problem.
Yeah, not the rent problem. I want the 100,000 problem, not the 1,500 problem.
So go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead, Jerry.
So I was gonna say, that's how I handle my barriers. I know Matt does something similar, but the fact is, you can't just sit there and succumb. Like, you have to fight back. You have to take responsibility. You have to predict. You have to actually cause them. Make the barriers yours.
Yeah, and I think that putting it back to talking about the game is extremely important. If you have the mentality of life is just this game, think of, you ever play video games as a kid?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's like levels in the video games that gets harder and harder and harder.
Yeah, you fight Bowser at the end of that game.
Yeah. Bowser. He's got the spiky shell, big old scary dude. You know, life is a game. You're just gonna have bigger and bigger and bigger problems. But as you get those bigger problems, you're gonna have bigger payoffs, like Jared said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're a kid, you're like $100 is really a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you get older, you're like that doesn't even get me groceries.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're like 100,000. If I can make 100,000 in a year, did you ever think that, Jared? Man,
dude, mine wasn't even that. Mine was 50. I was like, man, my dad never made that much. If I could make 50,000,
yeah, man. And so you know, you get to that 100,000, and then you're like $1 million.
Yeah,
$1 million is a lot. I'd have it made.
Still broke.
I'd be a king if I had $1 million.
Yeah.
No, doesn't work that way anymore. So that's what we're talking about is, you know, different barriers, different levels. Things escalate, and so should your goals, your actions, ambitions, and the way you handle problems. And it's all a game. If you treat life like a game, you go at it with that mentality, you're going to be able to overcome these barriers that we're talking about with the methods that we've talked about here. And you're going to be able to overcome in a positive manner and have better outlooks.
Last thing I want to give you on this, I know Matt's going to agree with this. When you're going through barriers, the people you spend your time with are going to play a great deal into how you handle the barriers. If you spend your time with people that have smaller problems than you, what you're going to do is you're going to give them sympathy, and you're going to get sympathy back from them. It's going to make your barriers worse.
Yep.
So when you have barriers, I want you to actually go spend time with people who are way more screwed than you are.
Yeah.
Like, they got way bigger problems.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I like hanging out with Matt. That's why I like hanging out with Cliff and Sean and these guys that I spend my time with, because it keeps my head in. It keeps my head focused on, like, all right, I can't be concerned about a problem that I've got going on. I'm looking at what they're doing, and I'm like, I need to play at that level.
Exactly.
So that's what we have to say on barriers today, guys. Love them, create them, take responsibility for them.
Own them.
Own them.
Own them.
And then you can win the game.
And then go get yourself some bigger problems.
Yep, that is the game.
That's the game. That's how you win, and that's how you get to the next level. Because there's no end.
That's the secret. The game never ends.
Yeah.
When it ends, it's because you died, and then it probably just restarts.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so guys, thank you for watching. This has been the Never Settle Code
With Matt Lindsay and
Jerry Fetta.
That's right.
We'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Next Saturday.
Hey, and also, if you've been liking, share. It's right next to it.
Right there.
Right next to it.
Right
Just
there.
click that share button. All right, thanks, guys.